Ecuadorian, a climate activist, singer, and musician, and also an accepted student at Princeton University, seeking to study geographical sciences, environmental engineering, and music. So, welcome, Isabella. Nice to meet you, actually. And, well, feel free to get started.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Isabella Checa, as you just introduced me as, and I am from Quito, Ecuador. And I agree with a lot of points that Isadora said in her little introduction. And there's definitely an Isa before YYGS and after YYGS. I attended YYGS ASC in 2019 with Isadora. And it had a very big impact on my academic path. Most of it due to being surrounded by like such amazingly like passionate people and like this culture of like academic curiosity, which really helped me kind of narrow down and like realize all the gaps in my knowledge and my school's like academic capacities compared to the rest of the world and to like young people in the rest of the world. So that was definitely something that YYGS helped me with. It also helped me realize that I wanted to attend one of these amazing institutions in the US because of this culture of curiosity that I was talking about. It's the academic rigor and people just being super passionate in everything that is learning. So YYGS was an amazing experience and helped me realize all these things. Now with the realization of these like big gaps in my knowledge and in my school's academic capacities, I had a lot of like imposter syndrome. I wasn't as like accomplished as other individuals in YYGS at the time, especially because I just hadn't been exposed to much of these like ideas of maybe starting up your own like company or your own like site, your all these like extracurricular activities that people in these like top universities tend to have. So I decided to, instead of like have it was like a very big wake-up call. So I decided to create these opportunities for me. And since YYGS, because of YYGS, I started science club at my school, which was the first thing ever. I like focused on just creating academic curiosity for sciences and mathematics and STEM in general, and kind of focusing that on women when we could, as we did some throughout the 2 years that we were active. We did some conferences that were especially for women in STEM. So that was one thing that YYGS really like helped me cultivate, because of this like gap in my scientific knowledge that I had. So if any of you haven't applied yet to YYGS, I would 100% recommend that. You don't have to be a genius to get in. I certainly am not, and I wasn't at the time. It was just, I think my essays showed a lot of like maturity and willingness to grow, a lot of potential, and yeah. So that was my spiel on YYGS. For Princeton, so I got into Princeton class of 2025. My GPA was 96.6 throughout my years in, actually cumulative from like pre-K, because that's what my school did and that's what I sent, which is a 4.0 unweighted. I was actually test optional for SAT because I didn't have the chance to take the SAT, which I thought was gonna have a way bigger impact than it did on my college apps. I ended up getting too many schools, including Princeton, without an SAT score. So that really just highlights how colleges don't only look at your scores and your grades. It's, well, your grades a little bit more, but your scores and like test scores aren't that as hugely important as we make them out to be, because really what it comes down to is your values, your extracurriculars, and who you are as a full person. And I think that's kind of like a trend that we've seen here today, both in like Minerva applications, as the first presenter once said, and as Isadora said in her essays, she showed a lot of like personality and emotional maturity in her essays as well. So that's definitely something you want to keep in mind for applying to these colleges. Now down to my extracurriculars. I put down as my main extracurriculars were Movimiento Verde, which was my environmental club, and I was like president 2 years in a row. It was a very big part of it. Was like something I spent a lot of my time on, and it was something that I was super passionate about. We forged alliances with Fridays for Future Ecuador, like nationwide, and it was a super good opportunity for me to get to know more about my own passion in climate activism. Then the second extracurricular I put was the science club I created at my school, Youth in Engineering and Science Club, which is YES Club. Then I put Berkeley Music Lab as my third extracurricular, which were basically my music lessons and music ensembles, just like all jumbled up together. My fourth extracurricular was Forzabu, and that was a performative choir that I did. And my fifth extracurricular was Beyond Lagarto Cocha, which was this project where we would raise funds to fund a school in the Ecuadorian Amazon for an indigenous community of the Sequoia Nation. And I just visited. It was an amazing opportunity. Then the honors that I put were the New York Academy of Science programs that I did, New York Junior Academy and 1000 Girls, 1000 Futures, which are also great opportunities if you're international students because they're online. Then I said my second honor was the full scholarship for Berkeley 5 Week. And the third honor that I put was that I was a Yale Young Global Scholars ambassador. And yeah, those are like my big stats and like the general stuff. Now down to the essays, I did my Common App on so Isadora mentioned that she felt like her essays for Stanford were way more mature than YYGS. And I think that it's kind of the opposite for me, because for YYGS, I wrote about like economic disparities in my country and how I felt about them, and that tied to education. It was a whole thing. But for my Common App essay, I wrote an essay titled Cow Farts. And it was about like how learning about like the environmental grade helped me gain the confidence to become like an advocate in the future, and also helped me gain the confidence to become a performer in music. So I kind of jumbled up all my extracurriculars together and like my main passions in life and connected them to like this single point, because it kind of seems true for my life. So that's what I did. It's an immature title, Cow Farts, but it helped me get in. Like the importance of hooks is something I really want to highlight for essays. Especially like, for example, one of my supplemental essays for Princeton was like, why do you want to attend Princeton? What's like the things that most stand out to you? And my hook included, I'm gonna quote it right now, and I said, 7 years, 8 days, 19 hours, 44 minutes, and 16 seconds. That is the deadline to achieve net zero carbon emissions as of now. When looking at this number, most will lose hope, but not me. It is a call to action. So that was like a super dramatic hook, I think, but it definitely helps gauge your admissions officer's attentions, and it helps kind of like convey the urgency of how I feel the climate crisis is approaching us. So that's something I would really like to highlight from my application. And
for sure. And well, why do you think that Princeton chose you, and why did you choose Princeton?
Right. So first, I think that Princeton chose me because they saw like three spikes that were super different and like very like geared towards me. So it's just like music, science, and community service. And I kind of integrated those in like all of my extracurriculars. So that's why I think Princeton saw me as a good like candidate, and those were like spikes. And I chose Princeton because of their community service geared like mindset as a school. They're super they're super caring and involved in world and like in their world problems and community problems next to like the Princeton town next over. So that was a super big reason why I wanted to attend Princeton.